Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for all of you that showed up, everybody that's watching and listening. This time I'm going to call our meeting to order, and I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. Good evening, board. It's good to see all of you, and I'd like to welcome everybody who's here with us at the Board of Education office. Thank you for attending this evening's meeting, as well as the folks that are watching us online on Rebel TV. I'd like to welcome you to our meeting as well. Mr. Chair, the item number 2 is invocation, and I'm going to ask Lieutenant Darby Couch from Fannin County Sheriff's Office, our lead SRO, if he'll come up to the front and lead us. If everybody would please rise.
Kind of letting follow over the country once again, God, we thank you for allowing us another faithful day that you've given us, Lord. We ask that you continue to just lead, guide, and direct us the way you see fit. Pray, God, that we'll be found doing that good house to do. God, we ask that you'd help us to lead, guide, and direct our students in this county that we deal with another day. We ask for leadership and guidance for our school board, our superintendent, and all that's involved in our school system. Lord, we pray, God, just go with us each and every day. Lord, we ask us for that guidance to be exactly where you'd have us to be, and go exactly where you'd have us to go, and say the things you'd have us to say that be pleasing to you. God, we ask that you watch over those that are sick and afflicted, Lord. We thank you for everything that's been said and done, Lord. We thank you for it all in your sweet holy name.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. You will remain standing. We're going to ask Tracy Summers, also Deputy Sheriff, West Fannin Elementary School Resource Officer, if you'll come up here to the front and direct everybody's attention to the flag, and Mr. Summers will lead us to the pledge.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'm good to go?
Yes.
All right.
And then swap out the service.
Okay. I think we're good. Thank you. Okay. Item number 4 is board reorganization, and this happens once a year on this Board of Education. And the purpose of this is to identify our chair and vice chair for the upcoming calendar year. Mr. Galloway has served as chair for 2 years, therefore he's ineligible to serve again for this year as the chair. So, Mr. Galloway, with your consent, I will assume chairmanship of the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you. And then at this time, board, I'll open the floor and accept nominations for board chair for calendar year 2022.
Mr. Chair Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
I nominate Mr. Terry Bramlett as the upcoming year chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Deweese. Nomination received from Mr. Bramlett. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close nominations at this time. Let's go ahead and we have one nomination, so let's make it official. I will accept a motion for Mr. Bramlett as chair.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, so we have 4 and 1 abstention?
Sure.
Okay, so we have 4-0-1. And we will congratulate Mr. Terry Bramlett as the chair of Board of Education for 2022. And I will return chairmanship of the meeting to you, Mr. Bramlett. Congratulations.
Thank you kindly. I'm going to remove this because I can hardly hear myself. I doubt you can hear me. Oh, thank you kindly. It's an honor to serve.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while since I chaired this board, but it is indeed an honor to serve with these fine gentlemen. Next order of business is to elect a vice chair. So I will open the floor for nominations for vice chair for 2022.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Mr. Mike Cole, sitting beside me, for vice chair.
Very well. We have a nomination. Is there another? Hearing none, I'll open the floor for a motion and second to confirm Mr. Cole as our vice chair for 2022.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for Mr. Cole as our vice chair.
Motion?
You have a second, Mr. Chairperson.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
You're in.
4-0-1. Congratulations.
All right.
All right.
Next agenda item is to approve the consent agendas. Mr. Superintendent, you want to guide us through that?
Yes, sir. Let's go back to 4B though, and then let's take care of the logistics of the
Oh,
meeting.
very good. Sure.
Yes, sir. So the next item of business is to establish the dates and times. So I'll refer you to the attachment, Mr. Inslee. You look at that first attachment right there. You can see that I do have a recommendation for you, Mr. Chair, and that is that we continue meeting here at the Board of Education on the second Thursday of each month. I have a recommendation of one change though, that instead of meeting at 6 p.m., that we back that up and we meet at 5:30 p.m. So my recommendation for the upcoming year, Mr. Chair, is to continue to meet on the second Thursday here at this location until the new property is ready, and that we will begin at 5:30. That's my recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Very good. We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So done.
We have a motion to continue on the second Thursday of the month, beginning at 5:30 p.m. at this location until the new location is ready.
Yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Beard and a second from Mr. Galloway. Any discussion? I think it's most appropriate to move the starting time up, and hopefully it'll allow some of you good folks to get home a little earlier in the evening. All those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries.
Yes, others did both.
It was popular.
Very good. Well, that seems to take care of the item number 4. So
Yes, sir.
we'll move on to agenda item number 5.
Yes, sir. Two parts. Part A is to approve the agenda, and Part B is to approve the minutes. So Part B, Mr. Inslee will open that up, and we have a set of minutes from our last meeting, which was December 16, 2021, 6 p.m. Scroll through those, Mr. Inslee. Okay, thank you. Make the recommendation to pass the consent agenda as presented, Mr. Chair.
Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. Let's see, hear a motion?
You do have a motion?
Motion by Mr. DeWeese, second by Mr. Cole. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Votes unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up is special recognitions, item number 6. And, this past weekend, National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We're recognizing it today here for us because this is our first opportunity publicly to thank some law enforcement officers that are very important to the function of this school district. And so I'd like to bring up, we have our 5 SROs that are present with us, and I'd like to just bring them up and introduce them to you and bring them up here across the front, starting with our Lieutenant Darwin Couch, who led us in the invitation. Lieutenant Couch. And I have a certificate that I'll present to you, Lieutenant Couch. And then also Fannin County Middle School, Anthony Walden. The board, if we'll get you to come up and line up, and we're going to recognize these gentlemen. And next, there is John Middle School. There he is, Jim Burrell. Come on up, Jim. And then at East Fannin Elementary School, Thomas Guy. And then finally at West Fannin, we let us in the flesh, Tracy Simmons. And of course, these 5, they're sworn and they answer to the Fannin County Sheriff. On the school side, their director at the district level is Assistant Superintendent Darren Danner. So we're going to ask Mr. Danner if you will come up as well, Mr. Danner, and join them in this photograph. And over here with me, Mr. Danner. I'm going to let you present this certificate to Lieutenant.
Way to go,
We'll get this photo with us right here.
Yeah.
How's that?
Jesus.
And I'd like to say thank you so much for your service to our school district. These 5 individuals, they are sworn law enforcement officers, deputy sheriffs under Dan Kirby here in Fannin County, the statewide authority. And they do so much for our schools in addition to that law enforcement. They are an essential part of building community. And they bridge the gap between law enforcement and the schools, and they are a part of our families, and we're thankful to have them. Let's give them a round of applause. So at this time, what I would like to do then, the board will just remain up here with us, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask if from Mr. Walden down, if I get you to step over here, I'm going to call up each principal with their SRO, and we're going to take a photograph. And so, Lieutenant Couch works at all 5, but he's primarily at the high school, so we're going to ask if his principal, Dr. Scott Ramsey, will come up. Get that picture real quick. That's awesome. Did you get it? All right, thank you, Mr. Lieutenant. All right, next up, Mr. Walden, and where's Mr. Young? There it is.
We're not gonna hug.
Are y'all gonna hug? Yes, you are.
Good middle down.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next up, let's go to Blue Ridge. Yeah, well, where's Dr. Hodges? All right. Okay, thank you. And Thomas, with that price. Finally, West Fannin. Allison.
Hugger.
I love sir.
One more round. And in society today, I mean, it is a hard function to be a law enforcement officer, but we are thankful for these folks and everything that they did for us. So, and I guess the others have other things that they have to attend because they not only work during the school day, but in the school, after school activities as well. And I think Tracy's going to be with us for this meeting, for the rest of the meeting, which is why I think he thirded that time change. Next month, sir. All right. Thank you so much, board. Next item is the school governance team update, Mr. Chair.
Very good.
Good evening, board. How are you this evening? Awesome. So I have a report for what has been going on with our SGTs during the month of December. Of course, I always let you know what's going on the month after the meeting because most of our meetings in the current month happen after this board meeting. So in December, East Fannin Elementary did not have a meeting that month, nor did West Fannin Elementary. The middle school did have a meeting back in December. Several fundraiser requests and field trip requests were granted. Also, Mr. Young kept his SGT updated on some personnel changes to expect at the middle school. Dr. Jill DeWine, who is actually an SGT member, also spoke with the team about the exciting things going on with STEM and STEAM at Fannin County Middle School. They also gave a special shout out to Ms. Althea Goppel for her leadership in STEM implementation at the middle school. Lots of great things are going on at FCMS. That team absolutely loves their school. So the Fannin County Middle School SGT loves the teachers and staff at Fannin County Middle School, and they feel so proud to be representative of them. Great things are going on there. High school did not have a meeting in December, and Blue Ridge did have a meeting that was in December, early December, where Dr. Hodges reviewed her budgets with the team and also gave an overview of activities that were happening during the month and upcoming at Blue Ridge Elementary School. So does anybody have any questions about SGT happenings? We did have one thing that happened today, or actually it happened yesterday. We have had a little bit of turnover on an SGT, which is extremely unusual. And so typically those terms happen from May to May, and they're typically in 2-year terms, 2-year cycles. But we did have a resignation of a parent on the West Fannin SGT, and then we also had a resignation of a faculty and staff member because Tori Art had transferred from Fannin County Middle School, or from West Fannin Elementary School to Fannin County Middle School. And so Ms. Danner has had an election of both a parent representative and also a faculty staff representative this week. And correct me if I'm wrong, parent is Amy Curtis.
Yes, ma'am.
So Amy Curtis will be joining the West Fannin SGT, and then they elected Millie Rice as the faculty and staff representative. So good things going on all across the county.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the next item is extracurricular update athletics, item number 8. And so for that, we'll ask Mr. Rosenberg from Fannin County Middle School if he'll come up and share an update.
Great.
Good evening, board. Good evening, school leaders. Good evening, community. My name is Matt Rosenberger. I'm assistant principal at Fannin County Middle School. One of my duties is over athletics, and I'm going to talk tonight about the great things that are happening at Fannin County Middle School. So you can see here we have a picture of our cross-country team, and our cross-country team this year had record numbers. We have some individual accomplishments and team accomplishments this season. As you can see, we had Connor Kyle, who was one of our Reach kids, finished in the top 10 at the Pickens Preview. Our boys team won the Bulldog Invitational in Murphy, and our JV boys finished 4th overall in the state. Our girls as well did an amazing job. Kinsley Picklesheimer finished 3rd at the Pickens Preview Invitational. Our girls team finished 1st overall at 4 of the 9 meets they were in this season. And the girls team finished 9th overall in the Georgia State meet. We were very proud of our team. Of course, on a special note, I did want to recognize the team for the community service project that they did, for 9/11 Hero Run, for first responders, medical. All the kids and the parents participated, collected snacks, drinks, and they honored as well with the presentation to the first responders. Our volleyball team, probably one of the highlights. We had our 8th grade team had a perfect season, except for one non-region. Coach Hallmark did an amazing job. The 7th grade as well had a great season. Our 8th grade did win the middle school championship in the Mountain League, and we were very proud of these girls. They represented the school well, and again, sportsmanship, phenomenal. Softball, our softball team may not have had the greatest record this year, but again, it wasn't really about wins and losses with these kids. 6th and 7th graders were predominantly on this team. We did have some 8th graders, some got sick, some not, but we felt like the resiliency that these kids showed, and they did an amazing job this year, and I know that next year they're going to build upon this and do much better. Our football team, again, from the previous season, Coach Simonton did a great job. They ended up being 5-3. Our 8th grade team and our 7th grade team both made the playoffs. Our 8th grade team made it to the Super Bowl of the football season, and they ended up barely losing, but very closely contested, almost down to the last second. We lost 6-8, and they did a fantastic job. I was so proud of these kids, because nobody thought we could do it, and we nearly pulled it off. Again, we have some pictures of the team here. And then our basketball season, so we're getting to winter sports here. And again, great job, Coach Daves, Coach Anderson. Both of our teams right now are currently 1 or 2 in the Mountain League standings. So I can expect that we will do well in the tournament next week. Again, great job, our coaches here. And we have wrestling as well. We ended up 4-3, finished 4th in the North Georgia Mountain League. We had some wrestlers that did place the individuals. You can see up there Mr. Reese, Braxton Cheatham, Mr. Wilson, Conrad Head, Brody Burnett, Coy Sutton, and Jack Butcher. All did a great job. And then, of course, our cheer team, we had, again, a great turnout for our program. I was very proud that they had a lot more girls come out and participate for cheer. I think they had, one thing we did this year as well is just recognizing kids in the school. We give an athlete of the month. The coaches pick the athlete of the month based on characteristics that they show on the floor or in practice, whether it's leadership or something that they did that was good for the team. And then, of course, we have other kids. This is one of our teacher's children. She comes out and she's kind of our resident photographer. Madison Lester comes out and takes all of our pictures for our games. And we're very proud of her, too. She's getting involved in athletics. As you can see, our participation here, we had 239, which is pretty good for our size. Cross country and football had very high numbers. And I think we could expect to have the same next year. We did also get, credit Mr. Young, we got a new scorer's table, new possession arrow. We branded some chairs, Fannin chairs. And then down the road, we'd love to get more equipment for the football program, for all of our programs with weight equipment, or helping with facilities, whether it's wrestling or cheer. And then, of course, we're getting ready to soon start our spring baseball, soccer, and golf. And I just want to thank you all again for all your support for athletics, everything you all do in the county. Very proud and very humble servant. Thank you all.
Hold on just a second.
Yes, sir.
I think there's some questions here, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
We're so proud of our student athletes in Fannin County. We've enjoyed unprecedented success in recent years, and we love to cheer them on. We love for them to win, but you mentioned resiliency, and there's so many life lessons taught in those youth athletic programs. Resiliency, hard work, dedication, moving forward in the face of adversity. It's a wonderful program, and we appreciate your dedication to that program.
Thank you.
In talking to Mr. Terry this past week, he noted that his physician told him that he recovered quite much more quickly than most people. And he attributed that to his health and his active lifestyle. I've never seen any plots or anything about how the youth building the foundation for health for the rest of their life. But to me, that's almost, it's not as important as academics, but to build a good, strong, healthy body and start that young that's quite a gift to have handed to a young person. So I think our kids are blessed. It's beautiful.
Sure.
I got a comment.
Yes, sir.
I don't know quite how to say this, but me working for the city and working over with all those children and stuff, there's a lesson to be learned from losing as well as winning. And personally, I think there's a lot more to taking a loss and coming back than they are winning. You know, I think they learn a lot when they, like the 8 to 6. I know they played their heart out, and that's all it takes. If you play your heart out and you lose, to me, you're a winner. You know, and 239 children at the middle school. Praise God.
I appreciate the coordination with the high school and the attention that you've given to these athletes and their transition to high school sports if they choose to continue that as well. I think that's important. It benefits the high school as well and continues to help that child. So I think you've adapted to your new role quite well. And we're glad to have you here in Fannin County.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, next item is school happens. Dr. Ramsey?
Good afternoon, Dr. Gwatney, Board. Hope you are all well this afternoon, and it is especially good to see you here today. Glad to have you with us. It is an honor to get to be here and to brag about the accomplishments of our students at Fannin County High School. And really, it's not just Fannin County High School, it's a culmination of the hard work that has taken place from the elementary level all the way up, and very appreciative of what goes on there. First, we're going to talk about our new faculty and staff, and we have several. It's like I dipped into the transfer portal of Fannin County and got a lot of teachers from other schools. But first we have Jordan Dill. She came to us from the middle school, and she's doing a great job working for us in science and special ed. Devin Dilbeck, he came to us out of the auto industry. He's a Copper Basin boy. I think got some ties to Mr. Danner maybe. But we didn't hold that against him. We hired him anyway, and he's doing a great job for us. He's working right now in occupational safety, but hopefully that transitions into auto mechanics in the future. Myra Johnson, she has done a tremendous job for us in foreign language. She's helped us not only with teaching, but also she's doing some interpretation for us when we have Spanish-speaking parents. So very fortunate to have her. Kathy Mancuso came to us from Union. We always like to steal good teachers from neighboring counties if we can, and she's doing a fantastic job as well. Jake Reese, he came home. He started out as a parapro for us this year, and he transitioned. We were able to transition him into a math special ed role. And then Miranda Ruth, that's another one. We didn't hold her relations against her. We brought her on in PE, and very fortunate to have her, because one of the things we had wanted for a long time was to get a female in our PE department. That's been very beneficial, and she's done a great job, and she's doing some coaching for us as well. Kristen Stone is working in our CTAE program with our family and consumer science, and she's been a business owner in the past, and she has a lot of experience in that has made her very beneficial, and she's doing a great job with our students. And then Heather Age, she's not new to us, but she did move into a different position. She's now our interventionist coordinator and working with MTSS and just doing a great job there. Molly Conklin is an interventionist for us. She's doing a great job. Christy Toombs, I guess I should say that's another one. We didn't hold her relationship against her, but she's working with us in ESOL, and she's doing a great job for us too. Christy Zell, she came to us from Tennessee as a counselor. Great relationship with the kids, and she's hit the ground running. New to no one is Miss Betsy Hyde. We're thrilled to have her. She's served in many capacities within the system, and she has just been a phenomenal addition to our staff up there and done a great job and been very beneficial to me, as I became principal, and it helped out a lot. And then Shannon York, y'all got to hear from her last meeting on an athletic update. She's doing a fantastic job, and as y'all pointed out, athletics is really rolling, and she's done a good job with that. So very, very glad to have her on board. Geneva Cook works for us as a paraprofessional and in special ed and doing a tremendous job. Ellen Fay, also we just hired her recently, and she's doing a great job working with our kids. Bernie Hoskins is working with he came to us from the middle school as a paraprofessional, and he's doing a tremendous job. He works at Brady primarily, and he does a great job with him. They have a great rapport. Melinda Cox, we got her from the DDS when she retired from the DDS, and she's working for us in attendance. And then Angela Sprague is our bookkeeper. She replaced Dawn Heaton, who is up here. She's, again, not new to us, but she became parent liaison. The parent liaison position is new to the high school, and we're just thrilled to have that, and she's done a great job. And then our two best additions to the high school. Oh, y'all are here. I didn't realize that. Tara Cantrell is obviously not new, and she works for the system, but she's housed at the high school. And then Sheena Reimer also works for the system, but housed at the high school. And it has been, I'm serious, it has been great having them here. And, the social emotional aspect for students is so important. And to have them there and to be able to, work with our kids and help our kids right away has just been tremendous. And then we hired Michael Hoopaw and Tim Wooten as a custodian, and custodians are like unicorns anymore. They're hard to find. And so we're thrilled to have them, and they do a great job for us. Okay, you know, one of the most important things we do is student support, especially right now. You know, we're having these ups and downs with COVID, and the kids are having to miss a lot of days, and teachers are having to miss a lot of days. It's important to be able to provide that support to the students. So we're doing that through virtual tutoring and online support. Again, we have our on-site interventionist and MTSS coordinator, and then again, these two ladies who do a great job of working with our students from the social and emotional aspect, because I think, you know, COVID has had a tremendous impact academically, but it's also had a tremendous impact from that social and emotional standpoint too. So we have to make sure that we're conscientious of that fact as well and paying attention to those kids. And as a result of attendance issues, you know, due to COVID and kids having to miss a lot of days, especially early on in the year, and we're kind of picking back up in that, we went to grade improvement days instead of finals days. So in other words, a kid, whatever grade a kid had at the end of the semester when finals started, they couldn't be any worse than that. Their grade could only go up based on what they were doing. So we did that this semester, and that's our plan to do it again next semester, to give these kids an opportunity to improve their grade at the end of the semester. And then one of the things we focus on, and I know all schools do, is positive behavior. And we want to recognize our kids for positive behavior. So each month we have drawings. The grand prizes are those baskets that you see up there, but we also have drawings for, there's some Yeti cups and some certificates. We have a Student of the Month parking place, if they get to park in if they win the drawing. And these are just kids that have earned PBIS tickets through positive behavior, through acting right. And, you know, as you can see, we've got a lot of kids up here, and we got great kids, and we have a lot of people enter the drawing. So we're very proud of this, and very proud of the fact that we have the kids that we do to be able to take part in PBIS and really drive that point home. Y'all may recognize this young man. I really think that other than graduation, this is probably the most important program that we do, because it gives our students the opportunity to recognize these men and women who have served our country, the reason that we have the freedoms that we have. And I'm always so proud of our students and the way they act at these programs. They're so engaged and they're so respectful. And Mr. Cole did a great job. Mr. Cole was up there because of his service to our country. And he did a great job speaking. Our kids were so engaged in that. I'm just, you know, I've been in Fannin County a long time now, but one of the things that has always impressed me is the reverence that we hold our veterans in, and the fact that we put on these programs, because I can tell you it doesn't happen like that everywhere. So this is one of my favorite days of the year, and just an honor to get to take part in it, and we certainly appreciate you, Mr. Cole, for coming and speaking to our school. Dual enrollment is another great opportunity for our students. They get to earn high school and college credit at the same time. In the fall, we had 70 students take advantage of this, and they enrolled in 104 courses. They enrolled University of North Georgia, Young Harris, Toccoa Falls, and North Georgia Tech. In the spring semester, we have 81 students enrolled, and they're in 128 courses. Again, University of North Georgia, Young Harris, and North Georgia Tech. So again, that's a tremendous opportunity for our students to graduate high school with college credit. So we're proud of them for doing that and grateful for that opportunity. And then work-based learning, you know, that's another opportunity that our students have. They get to get that real-world experience. They get to earn high school credit, and they get to make some money. And that's certainly a good thing to be able to do for our students. And we have a lot of students take part in that. These are pictures of our students actually at their work-based learning sites. And you can see here the different people that we partner with in work-based learning. And it's everywhere from government offices to panel built to Starbucks. So just a wide range of opportunities for our students in work-based learning. So again, very grateful for that opportunity. Hope to see that expand. Apply to College Day. This is something our students take advantage of every year. We have people from colleges come to the media center, and they help our students apply to college. And again, this is a tremendous opportunity for our students to get a head start on getting into college. You know, see that big G there in the middle. I was glad you brought that up, Mr. Bearden, about resiliency after losing, because Alabama took a tough one Monday night. I had to be very resilient with all I've had to listen to over the past couple of days. But this is a tremendous opportunity for our students to get to be able to apply to college and get help applying for college. We have a lot of students that take advantage of that. And this was the first year we did a job fair. Dawn Heaton, who our parent liaison, Deb Cantrell, who works at North Georgia, Christy Gribble, who works with us in a lot of different capacities. They worked to set this job fair up, and we started at 2:30 while the kids were still at school to be able to get, so they would have the opportunity to go to this job fair in case they didn't have a way to get back or have something else to do. Tremendous success, had a big turnout, a lot of jobs were given that day. I said our goal was to try to get the Zaxby's dining room back open, but it took us a while to get that done. But this is something that we hope to continue because it gives our kids an opportunity to get out and apply for jobs. And so that's something that we're very excited about and hope to continue doing that. And I know there's been a lot of talk about CTAE, and I just want to touch on it again. We're very excited with all the things that go on at CTAE. You can see here how well our kids are represented. We've got FFA up there. We've got our welding students up there. We've got HOSA up there. We've got FBLA. There in the middle, that picture is our construction students who actually got to go to the job site with Habitat for Humanity and work on building. So that's something that they were very excited about. Last month, we talked about TSA and their win in the car competition. That competition is an endurance competition. So it's about how many laps you can get in an hour. We didn't have to stop the whole time and make any repairs. And the reason we didn't have to is because of the welding program. They worked with the welding program and shored up some things that had given us issues in the past. So we were able to go the entire hour without stopping, which is why we were able to beat all the other schools. You know, like a Hart County, which is kind of the standard bearer in that competition, and we wore them out. So very excited about what's going on in CTAE. And our art program, Mr. Carr does a great job with our art program. You can see that this is all student work. And so you can see we've got some very talented students in that as well. So art program continues to grow and expand, and we're very excited about what's going on with that. And homecoming. Our homecoming week was very exciting this year. We had a lot of things go on during that week. We had a lot of different things. Amy Young put a lot of work into that. We had a Chalk the Campus Day. You can see there where the kids are drawing on the campus. We had a Christmas tree competition. So we had 5 or 6 Christmas trees set up that people judged, and they had a winner on that. There you can see our football players showing off their cheerleading skills for our Powder Puff girls as they're playing football. What I can tell you is our girls play football a whole lot better than our boys cheer. So you can see there. And then we've got our homecoming king and queen, Jackson Davis and Callie Stanley there. And then we finished off the week and played a football game, and that was pretty exciting. We had a big win there against Chattooga. And then homecoming parade. I was just very excited about that. And I appreciate the other schools taking part in that. You know, I know they gave of their time to make floats, and it was extra time. And we put a picture of all of them up here. That's Blue Ridge up there in the corner. That's our girls basketball team there in the middle. Down here we've got the middle school. In the middle bottom there is West Fannin, and over here is East Fannin. And up top is the Grand Marshal float. You can't really see. That's the empty stocking board that's on the Grand Marshal float. You can't really see, but in the back there are 2 really good-looking guys standing up, but they're kind of blocked by everybody in the way. But that was just something. There was tremendous community support. There was tremendous community participation. Our rec league took part in it. Just a whole lot of excitement about that. It went perfect right until the end when we hurt the superintendent. I guess if you're going to hurt somebody in the parade, it might as well be the guy that runs the whole school system, huh? But we appreciate Dr. Gwatney rushing back from Athens to take part in the parade, and it's just something that we're very excited about and hope to continue in the future.
Grew a beard to match you.
I know. And then band and drama, they put in a tremendous amount of work, and we see them every Friday night at their competitions, and drama just goes throughout the whole year. They put on their class productions. They put on their one-act play. They do their spring musical, so they're going all the time, doing a great job and representing us well. And then band, our band is superior every year. This year they went to Flowery Branch and were crowned the overall champion in the 4A classification. So just very proud of our band and what they do. And I'm just going to touch on athletics. I know y'all got an update last month, but just football again, back-to-back region championships. Our football team hasn't lost a region game in 2 years. They've only lost 1 regular season game in 2 years, and that was to Sonoraville, who we weren't even supposed to play. We picked that game up when we weren't able to play the Copper Basin game. And then they made the Sweet 16 of the state. Our volleyball girls once again made it to the state tournament. Very proud of them. Our girls back-to-back region champions. Boys back-to-back region runner-up. Then they kind of flip-flopped the state. The girls finished 10th in the state, the boys finished 8th, so very proud of them. And our softball girls made tremendous improvement this year. One win from the state tournament. Came down to the last game, so very proud of them and the work they're putting in, working very hard. And then I can update that a little bit. Our wrestling team this past weekend won the area duels tournament. And so tomorrow night at the high school, we are hosting the first round of the state tournament. We've got 4 teams coming in, and we're hosting the first round of the state tournament up here. So very excited about that. Our wrestling team is at it again. So that concludes, and I want you to notice here, middle school finished with the same slide at the end. We are Fannin, and that's what we're pushing out there, and that's the point we're trying to get across. So very excited about that. Y'all have any questions, comments, or just want me to sit down and hush and get on with the meeting? I'm watching Mr. Dan over there, see if he got his battery out yet. That's all right. I was less than York last month.
Certainly one of the priorities of this board is providing opportunities for our students, and what a great example that you have just given of opportunities for our students to grow and compete, and it's just marvelous. So pleased with their success, and that electric car event was just remarkable. I noticed that they put disc brakes on the car when you had it out front. It's fantastic, and it's very gratifying to see our students take advantage of those opportunities and have such remarkable success. Thank you. Anyone else?
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey. Mr. Chair, next item is number 10, Central Office Update. And it was alluded to during Dr. Ramsey's, he referenced student support as one of his slides, and something that's very important to the school district, and he shared what's happening at Fannin County High School quite well. Our Director of Student Services is Shannon Miller, and Ms. Miller does a fantastic job taking care of our kids and leading the department and the personnel that do that. And there's a great deal of, and Shannon was sharing with me earlier today, that there's a great deal of things that she does that, although we can tell you confidentially, we can't reveal it publicly. And so just know that the portion that you're seeing here is the things that we're just allowed to share. And I know that there's been many occasions with principals in this room, that most recently at the high school, where Dr. Ramsey, Ms. Miller, Ms. Collis, and I up here pretty late helping a student in a situation. And that's not unusual, because what I see out of this staff and the personnel in her department, they're all about taking care of kids. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shannon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board. It's an honor to be here, and I'm blessed to be here with my right hand, Dr. Connie Hutt, because it goes without saying that a lot of this would not happen without her support. So kudos to her. And I will say that I'll start the presentation by telling you that my core belief for education is that we are to develop young people, not just in academics, but to develop them so that they can have a happy, productive life and be citizens that contribute back to our community. So that's what our whole department is about. And our purpose statement is serving students and families for their future. And I want y'all to remember in that word families as we go through this, because none of this happens in isolation. Students are not raised in isolation, and life does not happen in isolation for human beings. So to address that, academics is very important, and I know that Mr. DeWeese had mentioned that earlier, that academics and athletics are important, but when we are wanting people to be productive, we've got to look at the whole person anymore. It can't just be reading, writing, and arithmetic or athletics or something. We've got to bring that whole person together and address any needs that they have. And sometimes we may need, as human beings, may need a little additional support in one of those areas than, say, our neighbor does. So our goal in our department is to make sure we look at that child, and if they need a little extra scaffolding or support in a particular area, we make sure that that happens. And the key to that is relationships. We can write plans and do paperwork and meet compliance all day long, but if we don't have relationships, we're not going to have buy-in, and it's not going to do any good, not a real purpose. And we can either have purpose on paper, or we can have purpose in reality, and I'll choose purpose in reality any day, and that's not going to happen without relationships. We have several programs and services that we are fortunate to offer in student services, and I appreciate you all's support for the faculty and staff that we need to pull this off. We have everything from special education services to hospital homebound. We're with DFACS in an interagency coordination with them, counseling services, psychological services, even pre-K. So we started with little babies. So in all of those programs, there's not a program that I mentioned that doesn't get to have a specialized plan. So we have plans all over the place. And like I said, this is another place that we could write pretty stuff on paper, but if it wasn't for a purpose, it's not going to do any good. So what we use the plan for is a roadmap for that individual child and a communication tool, because you could have 15 people supporting that one kid to get them where they need to be. But if we don't have a way to communicate those particular needs for that kid, then we're going to drop a ball. So the way that we could do that communication is through specialized plans. Just a little bit of statistical background for the students that were served with these specialized plans, and this is plans outside of your regular lesson plans and just your day-to-day operations, is we actually have 781 students currently who have a special plan, be it a 504, an IEP, as safety plan, and a safety plan is what we have when kids may need additional supervision and stuff for like either anxiety or mental health issues, or not issues per se, but just situations, occupational therapy, physical therapy, any of those kind of things. So 781 students is about 30% of our population needs some kind of specialized or extra scaffold support. Okay, the people who make it happen. It takes a village. So you have the statistical information in front of you, and the numbers in parentheses on the outside of the title of the job is the number of people we have employed in that particular position at this point in time. So that totaled up as 113 people. That's not counting building level administrators, other directors, Dr. Huff, or myself, because there is not a department that we don't have to go to on a daily basis. We go to technology for assistive technology. I stay on the phone with Denver a good bit of the time, curriculum, CTAE with Mr. Ruth, trying to make sure that our kids gets a leg up if they need to be a pathway completer and get through to be successful in that way. So that's kind of an overview of student services, but what I really wanted to focus and highlight tonight is the newest component of those services that we are fortunate enough to provide for our students. And we are on the front end of being able to provide this type of services for our students in the state of Georgia. And this is the expansion of our social services department. And we've been able to integrate the social emotional learning that Dr. Ramsey had mentioned into scaffolding, into the support for our kiddos. And the way that we did that is we were able to add to Ms. Tara Cantrell, who was our school social worker. We were able to add Ms. Sheena Reimer, who is an LCSW, which is a licensed clinical social worker. And so those two partnering together makes a perfect whole in my mind. I want to back up just a minute and say that a lot of times when people look at this, they think, well, you have school counselors. Why can't they go to a school counselor? Why isn't a school counselor enough? Well, the reason is that school counseling is a whole different field. It's a whole different degree. It's a whole different purpose. The purpose of a school counselor is to let students have access to academics, but they actually even have their own standards that they have to teach to the kids, be it study skills, be it how to take test-taking skills. At the high school, they do a lot of credit stuff to make sure that they're on track to do, get their transcript right to be able to graduate. So you have that type of counseling, and they can support kids on that level. But when you have students that get to where they have anxiety or social emotional issues, which if you've all talked to teenagers or children lately, that can be pretty common because it's a hard developmental time of life. then they need that extra support, kind of back to those plans that we went to a few minutes ago. So by you all supporting us being able to pull in Sheena with an LCSW, she actually has the licensure to actually be able to do more of a therapeutic kind of counseling. And then Tara, back to that family thing, Tara has all the resources and skills to support that family unit while they're trying to support a child through what they're needing to go through, be it anxiety or another issue. And to illustrate one of the ways that this happened, at one of the elementary schools, there was a student that had been recommended by their doctor to see an outside counselor. Well, the appointment wasn't getting made, Well, come to find out, the parent didn't understand how to navigate making appointments and those kind of things. And if you've all ever dealt with doctors or anybody like that, it can be cumbersome. I mean, it's a whole nother job, so to speak. So once that was found out, then Sheena was able to schedule an appointment and coordinate with that outside provider. And not only coordinate with that outside provider, but now we have a liaison with that provider and that student. So there's a continuity of communication and services from home to outside to school. Well, and then come to find out the family was having trouble paying for those services. So that's where Tara steps in, and she helped them apply for Medicaid and figure out how to do insurance and stuff. So the two of those together is helping not just put a Band-Aid on stuff, but we want to like heal the unit and to help, because sometimes we think that people don't care, and it's not a not caring, it's a not knowing. And so bridging that gap really helps. So I'm very proud of the work that they're being able to do there. And I tell them that, and remember that this is the first semester that we've been doing this. So in just a second, they're going to share a few statistics with you. So just from fall to now, they have been doing that. So you're going to be extremely impressed. But I've been telling them the whole time up until this point that Sheena's a social worker for the kid, Tara's a social worker for the big people. So we keep those together, and if we marry the two, then we're going to get it all taken care of. So thinking of that, with Sheena being like your mental health, your individual, your child-centered person, these are some of her specific duties and responsibilities. As crisis intervention and safety plans is back to those times if you have kids that have either been in anxiety or been in a situation where they may have been in a therapeutic setting for a little while and need a little extra supervision or support on campuses. She supervises writing those suicide intervention training. She does the mental health intervention management. There's no way that she could legally sit down with kids enough and do sessions, therapeutic sessions with them. We wouldn't be touching as many kids that way. So what we've devised to do is she actually coordinates with local providers to work with our kids, and then she will see them a few sessions, and then she coordinates with them, and we communicate so that, again, that continuity of services is not mixed, so it brings the whole in. So, Ms. Sheena, if you will just tell some of your statistics just real quick. This is some of the stuff that you've done this first semester.
Okay, all right, thank you for letting me speak. So under crisis intervention, just to kind of give you an idea of what we've tackled the first semester, since I started in August, I've had 20 suicide referrals. I've had over 35 incidences of self-harm in our district and 14 hospitalizations in psychiatric residential facilities for our children. So with those, they've come back and you've been able to be successful. Yes, so that's kind of starting a little bit of a negative spin, but what happens to wrap up in a positive is, so once we identify those things, I help target those kids and we help ensure that they get safety plans so that everybody that's involved with the kids on campus are aware of what's going on with them, and that comes with me partnering with the providers they see, the hospitals they left, the family setting at home. And we create safety plans, and we all work with them together to support them emotionally so that in turn they do well academically while they're on campus. I make sure that we ensure that the staff goes through suicide intervention training. And then when you come down to the mental health intervention management, so what that looks like is right now in the first semester. It took a little bit to get up and running because we had to do some MOUs, and I'm in charge of getting releases of information and parent consents, but I was able the first semester to have 12 kids receiving telehealth sessions on site at the high school. I did over 80 referrals to mental health providers to ensure that kids could get outside counseling. I offered grief groups. We had a grief group, I think, at Blue Ridge Elementary that was run by an intern. We had a grief group at the high school. I had a social anxiety group at the high school. We'll be doing a grief group this coming semester at the middle school to help target we had a lot of students this semester that were identified that had lost loved ones, whether it be COVID-related incidents. So we've been doing some groups. Look to do an anxiety group at the high school this semester as well.
And I want to share a success story real quick. One of the students at the high school that came in, he didn't have any credits, and by the end of the credit, the two of them working together with the high school was able to get tutors in and get outside support because the family was needing help, and he actually ended up not with 4 credits but with 6 because with the high school doing credit recovery, and so that's
so
great.
The Maintain Mental Health Partnership, so this has took time, but this has been such a positive thing. I have personally mailed thank you cards. I have been out to every mental health provider in our county and delivered cookies, whether it was at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and delivered them items just to start fostering a relationship with the providers we have in our community. And so now we're on a cell phone texting basis, and if I have a student in crisis or they see a counselor, I'm able to pull them in therapeutically, check in with them, email the provider, let them know what's going on, and then they tackle it when they see the student in session. That has helped us tremendously because I now have providers that are seeing kids that will email and say, this student that you have at your school is going through a lot at home. They may need some support academically, and then we can transition over and request 504 plans for the kids or IEPs. So it's really helped, and it has took a team. I work with kids sometimes that come in with family crises and the kid's struggling, and I'm setting them up, and then they're telling me they're worried or they're dealing with anxiety because mom's struggling, and then I'm able to say, Miss Cantrell, step in, help. We need to support them from that angle. So it's been a learning curve. We've had to build the program from the ground up. It's a little sad that my job is so busy right now, but the numbers are a little disheartening, but we are growing and things are progressing, and I can see improvement in some of the kids I'm working with academically just from us targeting their social and emotional.
Thank you so much. Okay. Ms. Tara does like the whole person. She gets community resources, referrals in. She makes sure that everybody's supported via insurance, transportation, food. She works with DFACS, Homeless Liaison, Children's Fund. Do you want to briefly tell us some of your stuff?
Sure. Thank you guys for having us tonight. I just want to say thank you for Sheena because, seriously though, I feel like that we had a population that we couldn't possibly get as in depth to meet their needs as we needed to before. So I really feel like we are set up in such a wonderful position to not only put a Band-Aid on a situation, but to really help our kids that have struggled move to a more positive place and in their lives, and their families to know that we hear that there's hurt or that we hear that they're struggling, and we're going to help you with that, and we're going to get you graduated, and your life can go on and be successful. So I'm so excited because I'm really seeing it, and we've seen it with some of our kids already, that Sheena was able to step in and meet with, where before we couldn't with school counselors trying to do the jobs that they're required to do with the bridge bill, and me being the only social worker. I really feel like we couldn't get in depth with it before, but now we're really able to do that. So I'm seeing those students come back and be more successful, and we're not having the repeat performances. We're not having, we had that in the past, and now we're not. And they're coming in and they're getting credits, and they're feeling successful, and they're feeling positive. And so I have really seen a change this year, and this has been huge. And so I just want y'all to know from a personal level, I've done 12 years without her, and I can't go back.
Thank you, Sarah.
But for me personally, I do meet the whole family needs, and there are times Sheena really focuses on the mental health piece of the student, and then I focus on filling gaps in other ways. So I have done 161 community resource referrals. So that's helping families apply for food stamps, helping them navigate the Medicaid applications, and that's not easy. I mean, that is actually not easy. I used to process those applications. Now they're online at Gateway, and so I have to get on there and help them do it. So we do that together. And assistance with Christmas to make sure that our kids, high school down to preschool, that they're getting Christmas needs met. Thanksgiving help with food boxes, food pantries. Good Samaritan, personal favorite near and dear to my heart is the Children's Fund. That's the way that our school system is actually able to support direct needs of children in our school, that we help support that. That's a personal favorite. 117 home visits just this semester at the half, and that addresses attendance, reaching out to those families about those community resources, obtaining signed paperwork that maybe the families weren't able to get back to us, and then if we're unable to for some reason to make a phone contact with a family, and we have places where there's no cell services. So anyway, so that sort of thing, and just work with our homeless students. We currently have 112, and so that's where we are. Final statistic, we assisted over 55 students with the Children's Fund and spent over $6,800 in the first half this year to meet those needs so that when they came to school, they could focus on what they were doing in the classroom.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so Bridge Between has a positive impact on kids, not just here, but in every program and in every department, and nobody can work in isolation. And just to illustrate that point real quick, we just got a report card just for the special education department, or special education services from the Georgia Department of Education this past week. And Robert, if you would open that LEA determinations, I want to brag on the team. This didn't happen in isolation. This happened to everybody from board members to superintendent, building level administrators, but if you'll scroll down all the way to the bottom, we actually made 100% on our scorecard for this year in that department with the state of Georgia. So
that's a round of applause right there.
Yeah. So, all right. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Well, the state's report card proves that you're taking care of kids. I want to commend you. You know, about a year ago, and I was searching for the date when we started this, but we saw the need. We recognized the need. There are kids that are in crisis. And conversations with all of you about how to make this happen, conversations with Shannon, gave Shannon the sort of the vision of where to go with this. And a great deal of research was done. I think that when you hear, Sheena come and present to us, and you hear Tara talk about how her job is now she's better able to serve because she's better able to target the families with Sheena focusing on the kids, and the ability to kind of allow that to happen so quickly this semester, because we just started this semester, and to have those kind of results, that kind of data shows that there was a tremendous amount of brainstorming and planning that went into getting it to where it is right now. And I give Shannon the credit for that and commend her. But we also had several other team members at the district level that joined in. We consulted with known and trusted psychologists and professional counselors. One is a graduate of Fannin County, one was a former college professor of mine, just to get ideas of what is working elsewhere in this region or in the United States that we can apply here in Fannin County to bring it in and focus it in. And that was taken, and it was truly at the district level, a team approach to get this in place under Shannon's leadership, to get it focused. And now we have, instead of Tara being overwhelmed trying to meet, we're able to focus these positions and better serve kids and families. Because if the child, and this happens a lot, especially with Darren and me, we monitor in the mornings. And if we hear a call in public safety that's going out to a residence, he and I are talking on the phone. What was that address? What was that location? Is that one of our kids? Getting that information over to Shannon if it is. Shannon getting it to the principals so we can step in, because it's not always pretty what a kid comes out of to get on the bus and come into school. What they might have dealt with just moments before stepping into the school is something that is sometimes unpleasant. And to have these resources and this teamwork and that focus, it's all about helping kids. So thankful to have this. Thank you.
Yeah. No, and I thank you all for your support and letting us have these positions, because they are needed and they have really made some differences in some children's lives. So, thank you.
And I'm sure, well, there may be others, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
make sure I get this right. If there's a teacher out there in our system anywhere that can rub shoulders with you guys and not grab hold of some of that passion that you have, that you just described, there's no hope for them. Bless your beautiful hearts for having that kind of care for our kids. Oh, it's awesome for me to think that a kid that needs help could come to school and get that kind of help, walk out of their own home and their own parents and their own people, and come and find the passion and the love and the caring. Oh, way to go, guys.
We are
Goodness.
blessed, Mr. Deweese. We are.
I don't know how to commend you higher, except maybe y'all are the passion pool where all the other passion for the other things come from.
Anyone else?
Let me just throw this in. For a long time, I've been saying, this is the best school in Georgia. And you just proved it tonight. I should get excited, but when I get excited, other people get excited. Anyhow, but I am excited about what goes on in our school system. And it's people that we have that make it happen.
Well, that's what you just said. It is people.
Yeah.
People and relationships, period.
Right. But they gotta care. They gotta care. And I think this system does.
Ms. Miller, I think you and your team represent the heart
Yes.
of our education system here in Fannin County. I've always thought that one of Dr. Gwatney's greatest strengths is his ability to recognize attributes and strengths in individuals and place them in positions where they could be successful and bring success to our system. Boy, did he hit a home run with you. You and your department.
They're wonderful.
What an incredible, heart-moving program. So thank you so much. Your caring nature, your expertise, and your love for our kiddos, to borrow your phrase, truly embodies the heart of our education system. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, Mr. Root. Thank you, Ms. Miller.
All right, so now here I come to suck all the passion and excitement out of her.
We were partners for a while, anyway.
The item everybody's waiting on, but as of last Friday, we had very few confirmed cases, but over the past week, the Omicron variant has definitely hit a surge. Not only school system wise, we do have several more cases right now than we did as of last Friday, but also in the community. If you look at community spread, we're in a spot with a pretty big peak right now. Talking with 3 different trusted healthcare folks. Our hospital is completely full right now. However, there is a silver lining there. The severity of this variant of Omicron and what's going on is a lot less. The severity is a lot less than compared to Delta or the original variant. Most of the symptoms that are being seen are upper respiratory, not as much moving into the lungs and things of that nature. So even though the cases are extremely high, and again, our hospital is very full, the severity of what's going on is not what we were seeing months ago with the previous variants. So that is a piece of good news. Another piece of possible good news, looking at it, from a biological standpoint or a mathematical standpoint, this variant has spread so quickly that it's just shot straight up. So the other side of that curve should take that line of symmetry and dip back down as quickly as it went up. That's the prediction. Again, talking with lots of healthcare folks. The peak of our community is predicted to be sometime between today and the end of next week. So, if we can just hang on and continue to be smart and do what we're doing, we are still contact tracing. Michelle Lynn's doing a fabulous job of that, and reaching out to parents and families and letting them know when their child's been deemed a close contact. And at that point, we are taking that modified approach where, as long as the child does not have symptoms, we are allowing that child the parent to make a decision as to whether to quarantine or to continue coming to school. Again, as long as that child does not have any symptoms. And obviously, if someone tests positive, then they have to have the isolation period, which we are following the updated CDC and DPH guidelines there, reducing the isolation period for a positive and the quarantine period for a quarantine. We reduced that from 10 days down to 5 days. So we have done that as well in our school system. I know that a lot of you, we've talked about this before, but the word team came up in Shannon's presentation over and over again. But with what we've dealt with COVID-19, now more than ever, it has been a team approach. So I do want to say thank you to Michelle Lynn for the job she's doing with contact tracing. Thanks to our nurses for the jobs they're doing. They're working extremely hard. And I want to give another special shout out to Martha Williams over there. She's given me an opportunity to have another brain, another person to bounce things off and to talk through some of this with. And so, Martha, I really appreciate the job you're doing. And so I know that's not always what we want to hear with some of these conversations, but any questions or comments, concerns, anything?
Can you go back to that chart?
Yes, sir. I know we were just kind of breezing through those, and just to remind people out there, Mr. DeWeese, all this content is on our school website. Were you wanting to see
the chart that had the peak in it?
Yeah, this one here. Yeah. So if you look
is that 100 students?
No, sir. That is our community. That's a good question.
So there's no children in the hospitals?
Well, we don't know. That's just overall community. That could be people of any age there.
How many students are out of school with COVID?
So right now, if we look at that, we could go to our local data, and you could see school system wise the number of reported cases. So right now, if we're looking at that, and this is lagging.
We report weekly.
We report weekly every Friday. So as of last Friday, we had 3. This tomorrow will look different than that. We'll probably have, closer to, this is when it comes to positive cases, it's looking like it's going to be closer to, 10 kids. So I don't know that for sure because we still have data coming in.
Lucas, you can click on each school. We report the school student data by day. So you can click on each school and see a graph for numbers by day. They're still fairly small, but they are increasing.
Yeah. The main surge we're seeing right now in the school system is more with adults than children.
For those students in the flu season, you would have more than those, would you not?
I don't really know enough to answer that. Do you know?
I don't. That would be a question maybe for the hospital next time we speak.
Yeah, that is a good question.
It looks like it would show up in our daily attendance.
Attendance, that's a good thing to point out. Also, daily attendance this week hasn't been, it's not been as good as it's been in the past several weeks. Right now, we had about 13% of students absent, and that's all. Obviously, we don't know if that's all due to COVID-19. Typically we'll hover anywhere between 5 to 8% student absent, and today and yesterday we were in the 13% student absent, right around that mark. So we are seeing an effect, an impact right now.
Any other questions for Mr. Root? Thank you very much, and we appreciate your diligence and staying on this. Thank you so much. And this is one of the reasons that we're able to stay in school is because of your efforts. And thank you. Mr. Chair, I recommend that we take a recess.
Thank you.
And what do you suppose, 10, 15?
10 minutes should be plenty.
Okay, so why don't I recommend a 10-minute recess, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
So
We need a vote on that?
I would suggest voting so that way we
I
remove
make
the
a
element of
motion, we
business.
take a 10-minute break.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Bearden, second by Mr. Galloway. All those in favor?
So we'll report back at 7:25.
Very good. Thank you.
fueling station canopy, that's been installed. Go ahead, Mr. Ainsley there. I'll just, again, tremendous work's been done, and it's just so wet right now. There are some more grading and dirt movement needs to be done, but, I'm sorry? They drive through that? Actually, the buses will drive down the hill, turn left, and then you can, on either side of the post there, we could actually, could possibly fill up 4 buses at one time. And that, of course, they won't be completely covered, but again, we asked the architect to make sure they designed something that we could be fueling more than 1 bus at a time. That's at the corner of the transportation facility looking back. That's inside. This was actually about a week and a half ago, and just an absolute tremendous building. The blocks haven't had their first coat. That's in the office area. It was actually there today. They've still not started hanging sheetrock yet, but they've started carrying sheetrock into the offices. This was like a week later. Notice that the blocks has got the first coat of paint on it. Again, that's in the facility. The doors have not arrived yet, so again, they closed up the doors. They've got portable propane tanks in there to keep keep a little bit of heat in so they can get the painting done.
When I first saw those doors, I thought, what are they putting blue doors in there for? And
true.
then I finally looked and seen it was a tarp.
That is true, yeah. They do have some of the hardware, some of the extra, notice that metal door to the right there is actually installed. And so again, they've started doing that as well. I think that's the tool room, if I'm not mistaken. Is that Denver? Parts room, I'm sorry, parts room. All that still has transportation facility. This is actually in the training room at the transportation facility. Just to the right there, that's to the far right. Yeah, that's going to be actually the lounge, but again, that's the training room in the transportation facility. We're going to the Staff Development Center. The columns there, they've actually started putting rock on the columns, the entrance columns. All the EFS has been installed and painted. The sheetrock is about 95% complete at Staff Development. It was actually there today. It's got the first coat of paint on it, just a primer more or less. It's going to be a tremendous facility when national move takes place. That's in the training room. Actually, that's the staff development. No, I'm sorry, that's the records room. That's a records room. And that'll be one of the side entrances there.
Do y'all have a noise problem here in this building?
Yes.
Been a lot of
you could be in one. You could be in one office and might as well not be a door or a wall. There's no insulation, that sort of thing. So that gets you have to go outside to get some privacy. That is true.
And Lucas just talked through the walls.
That will actually be, either the boardroom and or a training room. And
looking forward to that first meeting there.
Very true. Yeah, that's the boardroom. That's the staff training room. And that's what's going to be good about it is that staff training room and the board. What we would call the boardroom. We could have 300 people in that one building. 150 in the boardroom or 150 in the training room. So we could be training 300 people at the same time at one location. And every one of them could drive, and we got parking for every one of them. So. That's the entrance, the main entrance coming in, looking back to the outside. And like I said, I was there today, and just very impressive, very impressive.
What's impressive is your leadership over it. You've done a great job getting us to where we're at, because if you think about it, this is January 22. January of 21, Mr. Danner presented a package to recommend the guaranteed maximum price with construction manager. We did that at the PAC. So if you think about everything that's occurred since January of 21, and here we are in January 22, and looking at the photographs of a building that has really come together in a year. So,
Too big.
yeah, well, yes, sir, that's right. 2 facilities that have really come together. We're truly blessed, and we've got great leadership over it. So thankful for that. Another part of this that goes in, I'm going to put Heather on the spot here. Remember back, part of the construction update, also in the past year, in 2021, if you go back to May, in fact, Mr. Galloway and I, right after graduation, were signing paperwork with Ms. Dawes to purchase the land behind the Fannin County High School campus. Another blessing to this school district to have that property. And so, remember at our last local board training, our retreat, we were able to go out and visit that land and look, and Mr. Danner presented a variety of different plans and ideas for that. And in fact, the most impressive one to me was when he had all 5 campuses in the one shot, including that land, and we haven't even gone up on the hillside, just out in the open. And we were able to visualize that day. The potential is just limitless. And so one thing that I know is very important to this Board of Education, it's important to all of the leadership in this school district, is to find out the public's thoughts, including our own staff and our, everybody that's a part of this school community. And so Heather was tasked with creating a survey, and so the team worked with Heather to develop that. Heather, give us an update, because you closed that survey, was it last weekend? Mm-hmm. That was closed, and we have the tallies and the results, and those have been shared with the board. And so the board is currently in progress of reviewing that data. We will revisit that data and then create a follow-up survey that focuses on sort of the predominant themes that we're able to identify from that data. I also know that Mr. Danner has done a great deal of work helping to organize that data as well. And so we appreciate your work getting that out, communicating to the public. You did a great job each time that we launched it, and reminding folks and getting that, assimilating it. And then, Mr. Danner helping to assemble it with Ms. Finley into a way that we could get it to the board for their review. So more to come on that, but I would be remiss not to mention the successes that we've had over the past year, including the recommendation to begin those projects and then where we are now, and the purchase of the property, and then taking the time to be deliberate about finding out about what the community wants. So I just want to commend you, Board, for your work on that. So, Mr. Chair, anything else that goes along with that?
No, I certainly appreciate the approach. We certainly want our stakeholders' input, and all feedback is a gift.
Yes, it is.
And we appreciate the community's willingness to participate. Again, it's amazing to think about the possibilities of what we can do there and advance the education system here in Fannin County.
Thank you. Next up is Ms. Wynn, and we need to approve district financials. So come up and give us an update on that. Ms.
Good
Wynn, for
evening.
November. Good evening.
So this is our November the 30th, 2021 financial statement. 41.66% completed the fiscal year for general fund. Local revenue sources are at 2835 versus 2831 in the prior year. Total revenues at 33.39 versus 33.53 in the prior year. And expenditures 37.75 versus 36.86 in the prior year. And then we have our capital projects. And then next would be the special revenues. And then our school nutrition.
Okay, and then going back to that first one, we're starting to see the increase, which goes along with this time of year with the local tax collection.
Correct, because that's just November. So that's when it first started coming in, but it's been a lot more stuff.
Okay, and we'll see that reflected next month. So, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of financials as presented.
Very good. We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
You have a motion?
A motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Have a second.
Second, from Mr. Galloway. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next up is the Splost update. Ms. Wynn, can you share the numbers with us?
Our Splost that we collected $838,732.29, and that is November for the month of, that we received in December for the month of November. So we've collected, that was 23.7% growth from the prior year. So this Splost so far, we've collected over 6.2 million since we started Splost in April.
Again, used the word blessed a moment ago. That's exactly what that is. So we're thankful for the strong economy in Fannin County.
Indeed.
That's our second highest since April. For Splost collection.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Wynn. All right, Mr. Ruth, back up for CTA salvage.
Some more excitement. Salvage.
Got some more lockers. You got some more lockers?
I wish I could take their lockers. No, we're
These are essentially, for lack of a better way of putting it, video game controllers that no longer have software updates to them. Basically useless pieces of plastic taking up space. So we're asking for your blessing, for your approval to be able to salvage these VEX EDR control systems. And this is in compliance with our admin regulation. And again, we just request this. And these items have surpassed their intended usage and life expectancies, and they're not functional and no longer serve. They don't serve a purpose, and they're no longer in service.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruth. Mr. Chair, approve recommendation to declare salvage equipment CTA.
Very good. Have a recommendation. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Mr. Bearden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cole. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Votes unanimous, motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, next up is L4GA purchase, and we're going to let Mr. Inslee speak to us about this one. Mr. Inslee?
Good afternoon, board. Come to you today. The high school is starting to utilize their L4GA ARP funds, and one of the things that they're going to be doing is promoting literacy integration in their media center. And so one of the things that they have is to provide more shelving and things for the media center. This is a cost of $41,437.91 from DEMCO. And this has been approved by as a allowable expense through the Georgia Department of Education Program Manager. So it does need your approval though, because it is over the 25,000 threshold. But I do ask that you recommend this purchase for our high school.
Are these metal?
I think so. This is a turnkey deal.
Yes, it is.
They come in and install it.
It ain't plastic, it's metal.
Right.
Okay.
Make that recommendation.
Very good. We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Is Mr. Bearden with the second? Hearing none, all those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Inslee. Next up, E-Rate Switch Project. Hard to believe it's that time.
Well, we had a gap year last year that they extended and did year 6, and so this is the 5th year cycle. I mean, you don't understand what that means, but so it seems like we're doing it quickly, but we had a 1 year, and then now this is our new 5 year. So the federal government gives us money per student, basically, to upgrade our infrastructure within our school system, and they will pay 80% up to a certain amount that we're allotted. And we started this last year with our 1 year gap money that we had from them, and replaced our top switch in most of our switch stacks, as all of our switches are end of life now. Well, they still work, but they can no longer take updates. And so switches are extremely expensive. All the peripherals that go with them are expensive, the installation, configuration, and all of that's been a huge expense. So this is a great way to use our E-rate money. And this will complete that project totally. We'll have every switch switched out in the school district with this. And so how this works is, used to you had to spend it at a school, but now it comes district-wide. And I work with an E-rate consultant, and he helps me figure out how to configure the purchases, so we squeeze every last little dollar that we can get out of it. And so this is how that breaks down. But overall, it's $473,000 project that we only have to pay $94,000 and $622.20 for. So because we have to pay 20%, that's what E-rate requires us to do. But it's still a great bargain. We bid this out last spring, and MDSI, who we've worked with several times and has done our other switches, won that bid, had the best price and best turnkey package, and so we are lucky to be working with them again. So
this is a huge project, and the tech department's done a great job following E-rate rules, which there are many, and it's all about compliance, and so they've done that, and they followed the processes here. And these pieces of equipment in all of the various locations in the schools and throughout the network, they support every single byte of data that goes through anybody's device. What you're doing right now on your devices here, what the kids are doing in the classrooms, and these are key pieces of the network. And so it's wise to keep these things current. It's wise to be operating with modern technology to take advantage of the very high speeds that this network is able to achieve. And all of that it's simply amazing to think about how we rely on technology. This is an essential part of the backbone of that. So I recommend approval as presented by this committee.
A recommendation, your motion?
Make the motion.
A motion from Mr. Deweese. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Galloway. Did you have a comment?
Discussion, yes. The last Splost check would almost pay your $94,000.
The last Splost check would have, more than covered. It's only $94,000. It was $800 and something,
Yeah, it was
right?
$840,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It could have covered the
So
whole
a
thing,
portion
but
of
we're
it.
gonna let the federal government pay for what they wanna pay for, and we'll just pay our little portion.
And that's another reason why we're able to do the things we do, is because we do maximize our federal funding.
Sure. And more discussion?
I do just want to make a comment that call out to Scotty Mathis over there. He did a great job in your absence when he presented the video.
Yes,
So
when I was under the
I
weather
just
last
want to give him
week.
kudos.
Explaining it, yes.
I didn't want to give him kudos.
Very
Way to
good.
go, Scott.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries. Thank you for stretching those dollars.
And we, I couldn't stretch it far enough to get this $51,000 here. So what we had left over was at Blue Ridge Elementary, and I can't have that in the actual E-rate project. So
Again, she's following the rules.
yes, so we have to do this one separately. But this is basically just for the switches at Blue Ridge. Part of this Blue Ridge switches are in the E-rate project you just saw, but the additional ones that we cannot, that we would have exceeded our cap for here. And that was the easiest way to do that, was to put it up on schools. So
And
that
she's-
totals $51,541.
And she's ensuring that all the schools will have equal speed and connectivity, is what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Excellent.
So make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
All right, have the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion from Mr. Cole, second from Mr. Bearden. Any further discussion?
Yes. Is that why, when you showed us the other graph of all the schools, that Blue Ridge was only
Was that less?
27,000?
Yeah.
And the rest of them was a lot
Right.
higher? Yeah, okay.
That's right.
So that just equals up kind
Yes,
of
sir.
what the rest of them
Right,
are.
so they tell me you have this much money, and then we kind of keep working with it and figuring it out. The most money we can get from them, and then I kind of have to stop it there, and then I say, okay, well, I can't afford, we still had, I think it's 8 switches that we can't afford with that money, and so then I have to buy them separately, basically.
Very good. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Vote unanimous, motion carries. The speed at which technology moves these days. Thank you so much for keeping us ahead of the game.
I don't know if Scotty's gonna keep working when
realizes how many switches is all in that. But we'll see. And the good news is they're on a 6-month delay, so it'll be a while before we get them in, but we do have a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. All right, Mr. Danner, back up. You talk about audio video purchase. Mr. Danner?
This is at the Staff Development Center. Like the setup that we got here, we need to put that in the boardroom over there. And again, it can also be used for the board meeting and or other training. 2 screens, projector, where Robert said he can control 1 screen, 1 projector, or this, again, it's going to be a whole lot bigger setup than what we have here. So ETC is a quote I'm recommending for $49,924.77. Great partners with them, and it is a turnkey. It will be paid for out of Splost.
Thank you, Mr. Denner. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
We have a recommendation. Your motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion.
Excellent. Motion from Mr. Galloway. Is there a second?
You have a second.
Second from Mr. Deweese. Any further discussion?
I got one. Now, I believe last time you said that includes cameras and all that.
Yes, sir. That was security cameras the last time. This is actually internal.
Right.
For that one room, correct. Speakers, but yeah, speakers, microphones, so we can project board meetings like we're doing.
Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor, show of hand. Vote unanimous, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Denner. Next item, Mr. Chair, is executive session. I make the recommendation for the purpose of personnel, also for the purpose of real estate and student-related information, and also to consult with counsel on confidential information.
Very good.
So make that recommendation.
Need a motion to retire to executive session for all the reasons just stated.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bearden, second somewhere?
Second.
Second, Mr. Deweese. All those in favor? Very good. All right, no action was taken in executive session, but I'll entertain a motion to resume our regular meeting.
So moved.
Have a motion, a second?
Second.
Motion to second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous, motion carries. We do need to approve the executive session minutes from December 16th, 2021, so I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
You have that motion?
Motion by Mr. Deweese, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cole. Any discussion? All those in favor? Vote unanimous, motion carries. Thank you.
You good? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, next item on the agenda is 23 to approve table revision to board policy GAAA. Deputy Superintendent Sarah Reagan will speak to us about this. Sarah?
Okay, good evening, Board. This is actually a very simple request to do some revision to policy GAAA, which is the Equal Opportunity Employment Policy. It's extremely simple what we're asking for here. Actually, Mr. Inslee, if you'll scroll all the way down and keep going, you'll see that this is all the policy and none of this would be changed.
Remember, highlights or
Only
strike-throughs
this
or
portion would
revisions,
be-
and
correct.
nothing is other than down here at the bottom.
Correct. And so the only thing that we're actually asking for a revision on is that at the very end of the policy, we do specify who should be contacted, and it's being specified by their job title. And of course, good policy should not have to be changed and updated based on people's
Job assignments.
or different roles, people who retire or people who are hired or things like that. And so what we would like to do is say the contact information to initiate a complaint is available on the district's website, and the rest of those things are stricken, and it's actually found on the website, and it's already currently found on the website right now. And so we would like to ask for this revision. I would like to recommend to Dr. Watney a motion to table this until next month's meeting.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I commend this board because, we did a very systematic and thorough revision of our policy manual, and now we're going back and revisiting it and cleaning up things like this. And so we're always looking for good policy, and I think that this is a wise revision to this policy, so I recommend the changes as presented.
We have a recommendation, do I hear a motion?
You have a motion?
A motion from Mr. Deweese, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Mr. Galloway, is there any further discussion?
We'll say this would count as a first read. This will sit on the table.
Exactly.
We'll seek public opinion over the course of the next month, and then revisit this in February.
Very good. All those in favor? Vote unanimous, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll have it posted tomorrow morning for public input.
Thank you, Ms. Reagan.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Board. Our next item on the agenda is annual board self-assessment update. So this is not an action item, since Ms. Reagan has some information for us.
Thank you, Dr. Watney. Tomorrow you can expect to receive an email from me about the annual board self-assessment. Once you receive the email, it'll have the instructions for you to be able to log in. This, of course, is something that you do annually as part of your application process to become an exemplary board for the GSBA. And so we will go ahead and get that open tomorrow. And if you have any issues tomorrow about getting it open or any questions about the content, feel free to reach out to me or to Scott Mathis or to Mary Ann Walker, and we will do our best to assist you. It is the same survey as what you typically receive annually.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Next item is local board training update. Again, no action, just some information, Ms. Reagan.
Thank you very much. This is just a quick reminder about where we are with local board training. It does require that we do 12 hours of additional training each year for the GSBA designation of exemplary board. At this point, we are at the 6-hour mark, and so I'm beginning to look at dates in the spring where we will come back together and do another 6-hour training, which will get us up to our 12 hours that's required to be able to apply for this distinction.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is personnel, so I'll give you a moment to turn to the personnel sheet dated 1/13/22. Everybody ready? Okay. All right. Resignations, Doris Tao, school nutrition, effective 1/21/22. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Recommendation, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Bearden, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Cole. All those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Melissa Barker, school nutrition, effective date, resignation 1/28/22. Make that recommendation, Mr.
Do I
Chair.
hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Cole, is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Galloway. All those in favor?
Okay.
Votes unanimous.
Thank you. Recommendations, these are all pending completion of paperwork and background check. We have Keisha Dover as an administrator, effective date 1/14/22. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
May I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion for Mr. Galloway, is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Beard. All those in favor? Votes unanimous.
All right, thank you. Kristen Gladden, teacher, effective date 1/17/22. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Deweese, is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Cole. All those in favor? Votes unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you, sir. We have recommendations for substitute teachers. Again, these are pending completion of paperwork, background check, and training. I'll take these collectively. Veronica Romano and Cameron Stone make those recommendations, Mr. Chair.
So I hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Motion for Mr. Beard, second for Mr. Galloway. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, sir. We have recommendation for a substitute administrator pending completion of paperwork, background check, and training. This is Vanessa Weaver. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Very good. May I have the motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Cole, second for Mr. Deweese. All those in favor? Vote unanimous, motion carries.
Great, which takes us to the next item, which is comments. And I just want to begin by saying I want to thank this man sitting right here next to me now, Chad, for your 2 years service as the chair of this Board of Education. You've been an outstanding chair, and I want to thank you for that service to this board and to the Fannin County school system. Thank you. Mr. Bramlett, your service as vice chair, thank you so much, and congratulations on chair. I look forward to working with you. We had some outstanding presentations tonight. I enjoyed Mr. Rosenberger's middle school update. Dr. Ramsey did an outstanding job on your presentation. And Mrs. Miller, having you and Connie and your team here with you, that was just a phenomenal presentation. Thank you so much. I want to give a special shout out to what we have fondly referred to as the Fcss road crew. These are the boats that are up very early. They've already been out and about on more than one occasion since we came back in the beginning of the year. And really, it takes all the directors to pull this together, because some are out on the roads and some are doing other things. But Denver and I, we have that significant responsibility of assessing and making a decision. But we have fantastic help, and I just want to give a special shout out to Sarah, Darren, Robert, Lucas. And we've added 2 more based on where folks kind of strategically are located. We've got Shannon and Martha, who are now with us as a part of that team. And they are all up before the others, working hard and communicating on the radio and just trying to do what we can to keep kids safe and get kids in school. It is always our objective to have school, but we have to do it safely. So give you guys a shout out and just say thank you. What you do, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Con. Mr. Cole, you want to go first?
This late hour, I'm just going to thank the law enforcement, that thin boot line, for all they do, especially our resource officers. Awesome. Love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Very good. We'll just go down the line if that's okay.
Kids first, you guys make it. Beautiful. That's to everyone.
Mr. Beard.
Real short. Thank you for being here. Ditto.
I'll be short as well. I just want to say thank you, board, for letting me be chair for 2 years and putting me on that. It was an honor and a privilege. I look forward to serving with you, sir. And thank you for everyone. Mr. Ramsey, I do want to say thank you for yours. I enjoyed that. Really did.
Very good. Great reports all around tonight. It's so exciting. Again, Ms. Miller, you're just tugged on heartstrings tonight. The middle school report, the high school report. So thankful for our resource officers and what they bring to our system in terms of keeping our students safe and all the other things that they do as well. Facilities report, Mr. Danner, we're so indebted to you for your dedication. Ms. Finley, thank you again for keeping us ahead of the curve on technology. Mr. Galloway, you have served out as an outstanding chair for the last 2 years, and we really appreciate your service. I have served as chair before, and I know that you put in a number of hours that we do not. And we appreciate that dedication to the system, and it has flourished under your leadership, so thank you.
It's an honor.
Thank all of you for all you do for our system. I'd like to thank my fellow members of this board for their support. And we're still in the middle of some health challenges, and their calls and their prayers and their support meant everything to me. In fact, I could look around this room and I don't think I could find anyone that did not offer prayers and support on my behalf. So I'm extremely dedicated to each and every one of you. My surgeon said that my recovery was nothing short of amazing. I'm supposed to be in the hospital until the 15th of this month, and then 8 weeks of bed rest at home. And so we still have a ways to go, but thanks to my personal angel, my wife Ruth, they turned me out loose early. And I don't know, maybe it had something to do with it. They were tired. Everybody on the 5th floor was tired of hearing about the Fannin County school system. I don't know. But no, make no mistake. I'm here because of the grace of God, and your prayers help facilitate that. So thank you. It's an honor to serve this board. It's an honor to be a part of this system. That's all I have, Mr. Superintendent. Do you have anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Then
I'm glad you're here.
Well, believe me, it's a wonderful place to be. A hospital is a great place if you need surgery, and care is a great place to leave. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? And that one is certainly unanimous. Y'all be careful going home and stay safe. You're in the way.